and welcome to Kaiju Review, where today we'll be watching a really weird movie.
How weird could it be? What the heck was that?
Today we'll be covering Big Man Japan.
The film starts off with a man, Masaru Daisato, or Sato for short, talking to an unseen interviewer as he goes out shopping and then heading home, where he lives alone. While talking about a cat in his home, he claims that, when you think about it, all creatures are strays in some way. He admits that his wife doesn't live with him due to her wanting to raise their daughter differently. When asked about how much money he makes, around $5,000 a month, he admits that he'd like to make more, but isn't in a position to do so.
Sato goes to the noodle shop and the owner is interviewed. The interviewer mentions that Sato is something, and the owner is surprised but accepting of it. Oh, get out of here, we're on break. At a park, Sato mentions how he used to come there when his daughter was a toddler and it brings back memories. He adds he wishes he had a son to carry on his name, but he thinks his daughter might be able to. He still plays with his daughter once a month, but he never goes on trips since his job always has him on call.
He gets a call and asks that they stop filming in case it's work. After the call, he goes back to being interviewed, but receives another call and tells the interviewer he has to go to work. Arriving at the gate of a power plant, Sato calls for the guard to open the gate. The guard lets him in, but tells the crew they aren't allowed to enter, but they can keep filming from outside. Yeah, so that's why, Fies is secretly the best show ever written.
You're full of it.
Let's just get out of here.
A surge occurs at the power plant and a giant called Big Man Japan appears. A kaiju with a comb-over appears in town, using its stretchy whoop arms to pull up buildings and tossing them. A long spike then comes out of it. Whoa, hey!
Wait, why does that kaiju have a comb-over?
That's what you're worrying about? And begins to lay eggs in the hole where the building was. Big Man Japan revealed to be Sato confronting the kaiju, keeping it from pulling up another building. The kaiju suplex Big Man Japan. The kaiju then tries to hoop a tall building, but has trouble getting the hoop over. Big Man Japan starts hitting the kaiju with his stick, snapping the circle arms, causing it to knock himself in the head, killing it.
Later, at a small party to celebrate the kaiju's defeat, Sato's agent is interviewed by the documentary crew, mentioning how the show's ratings aren't very good. The agent also mentions that Sato shrinks back to normal size on his own. A couple kids go to see the now sleeping Big Man Japan, but are taken out of the room as the agent arrives, telling Sato about a new sponsor.
A couple on the street interviews are done regarding the most recent fight. Back at his home, the interview with Sato continues. Sato talks again about how he has to always be ready to fight monsters since there's no way of knowing when they'll appear. The topic of Sato's grandfather, the fourth Big Man Japan, comes up, where shown some footage of him in his prime.
Well, I guess even heroes can retire.
Sato talks about how there used to be many monsters as well as others like Big Man Japan to fight them, but not anymore.
Sato travels to a plant in Mikawa as he's told a monster might show up in Nagoya. He mentions how there are fewer plants for him to transform at now than there were in the past. At the plant in Mikawa, the film crew are allowed in to film. The ritual to change Sato into Big Man Japan is filmed, and some members of the Ministry of Defense are interviewed, who mention that the ritual is now much looser than it used to be. The film crew asks that part of the ritual be done again so they can get a better shot, and are obliged.
After the ritual, Sato is prepared for his transformation into Big Man Japan, which is achieved by electrifying him. In Nagua, a kaiju consisting of a leg and a head leaps around, causing destruction.
What the heck is up with the monsters in this movie?
Big Man Japan grabs the kaiju by the leg, but has to let go so the sponsor logo on his chest can be seen. The monster slips and almost knocks himself out, then gets up and leaps on a Ferris wheel. Big Man Japan hits the kaiju while he's having fun, knocking him between two buildings, getting his head stuck before he dies.
Afterwards, Sato hangs out with some ladies at karaoke. One of the women is interviewed, a friend of Sato's who kinda wishes she could change too so she could help the aging hero. The next morning, the friend drops Sato off in his town.
In spring, Sato goes visits his grandfather in his retirement home. That's nice he's visiting his grandfather. One of the staff is interviewed and mentions that the grandfather has dementia. Back home, Sato is asked about his grandfather, then talks about his late father who died when he used too much electricity. Sato mentions that his father's death resulted in his grandfather doing more work as Big Man Japan for longer, contributing to his dementia.
One night, Sato receives a call that his grandfather has changed into a giant and is wandering around Tokyo, a result of his dementia. Sato and his agents discuss the fallout of his grandfather's actions, as Sato's sponsors are mad about the destruction caused. When told that a sponsor wants to put their logo on his hips, Sato argues against it. Sometime later, Big Man Japan faces off against, well, this thing.
That's it. This is getting too weird for me.
Where are you going? We gotta finish the movie.
Nah, man, I'm out.
What's wrong?
This is snowman out here. He's got a knife.
The kaiju launches its eye at Big Man Japan, dragging it back before tossing it again. Then it tries kicking its eye, but it doesn't work either. The creature just gets debris in its eye and has to wash it out. The kaiju then tries swinging its eye like a flail, but Big Man Japan runs off, forcing the kaiju to give chase. Swinging its eye around only results in getting caught in a cable tower. Big Man Japan kicks the monster, loosening its eye.
Then Big Man Japan, killing the monster. Suddenly, a red kaiju runs up and attacks Big Man Japan from behind. Big Man Japan attempts to fight back against the monster, but the red kaiju beats Big Man Japan into giving up and walking away from the fight.
Back home, a depressed Sato mentions he is unfamiliar with the monster and unsure whether it will return or not. The interviewer mentions that the show's ratings were better than usual. Sato's agent is asked about her new car, her dogs, and the show's ratings. She must make a lot of money. More in-the-street interviews are shown regarding the most recent fight. Later, Sato talks with his agent at a restaurant about the red kaiju that appeared, which apparently wasn't from Japan.
Sato is interviewed on a train while traveling to visit his daughter with a birthday present. Later, at a big boy restaurant, Sato waits to meet his wife and daughter. His wife doesn't want her daughter's face to be on film, resulting in the daughter's face being blurred and her voice distorted. Sato spends the rest of the day with his family at the zoo.
That's cool. He visits his family. Sato's wife is interviewed about how often she sees her husband, which isn't very often. She talks about how, as far as she's concerned, they're divorced and she doesn't want her daughter to follow in her father's footsteps as a hero. She also reveals that she's kind of been dating her boss, as Sato is shown the recording of the interview.
Now I feel sad.
In summer, Sato gets a haircut. Then a new kaiju appears. This octopus lady monster, which stinks badly, comes to town. Big Man Japan asks the monster to leave, but the lady doesn't want to. The lady just ends up being a lazy, self-entitled jerk.
Another kaiju, which apparently had been trying to court the lady kaiju, appears. The lady isn't interested due to the age of the other monster. Big Man Japan tries telling the other kaiju to leave, and then...
Wait a minute, are they about to do what I think they're about to do? That's just nasty.
The public union between the kaiju don't go over very well with the public.
Later, an exhausted child monster rests on a stadium roof, and Big Man Japan picks it up in his arms. The monster then, which causes Big Man Japan to drop the boy, killing him. This also doesn't go over very well with the public, who mourn the monster.
Sato claims that the young monster was already dying and admits that his nipples are sensitive. He is then asked when is his rematch with the Red Kaiju and will it happen? And Sato admits to being worried about what would happen to his grandfather if he were to die.
When asked about his childhood, he mentions how he was a large boy and that his father wanted him to eat more. Sato also recalls how his father pushed him towards becoming Big Man Japan at a young age, to a rather scary degree. After an attempt to change young Sato into a giant, his grandfather came to protect the boy from his father, though it had been too late. Walking home after the interview, Sato recalls moments spent with his aging grandfather.
We also learn that the Ministry of Defense has been monitoring Sato in secret. After Sato returns home to sleep, soldiers rush into his home intent on turning him into a giant. They retreat as the switches are pulled, forcing Sato to change into Big Man Japan, destroying his own home as the footage is broadcast live. Turns out Sato's cat also changed into a giant as well.
Big Man Japan learns why he had been changed against his will, as the Red Kaiju has appeared near his home. Big Man Japan tries to flee, but as dawn breaks, the Red Kaiju has caught up with him, and begins attacking the scared giant. Grabbing Big Man Japan's stick, the Red Kaiju gets ready to beat the giant when Sato's grandfather arrives to battle with the mysterious menace. The old man and the monster prepare to duke it out, as Big Man Japan timidly watches.
Grandfather does well dodging the monster's attacks, but one knee to the head is all it takes to knock him down, nearly killing him. Big Man Japan attempts to flee, end up finishing his grandfather off. The Red Kaiju gives chase, breathing fire on the retreating giant. Catching up, the Red Kaiju begins brutally attacking Big Man Japan when a bright light engulfs them. And then it gets weird.
The footage takes on a much more fake appearance as new American heroes. Super Justice, Super Justice's dad, Super Justice's mom, Super Justice's little sister, and a baby arrive to battle the Red Kaiju, who now looks just like a guy in a suit.
Hey, look, it's Ultraman wannabes.
A Defense Force team arrives to assist the new heroes as Sato, now wearing a fat suit, watches on in confusion. Sato shakes Super Justice's hand, then goes back to his hiding spot. Super Justice just completely owns the battle against the Red Kaiju as the others look on.
Super Justice's mom then drop kicks the Red Kaiju. And Super Justice's dad kicks the baby, which mom then headbutts and Super Justice kicks again, launching the child at Red Kaiju. The American heroes then proceed to tear Red Kaiju's clothes off, which goes on for honestly too long for comfort. Of course, any length of time is too long for comfort. Super Justice family then gets together with Sato's reluctant help, firing a rainbow beam which destroys Red Kaiju. The heroes then fly off as the credits roll and partake in a really awkward dinner.
Well, this was a pretty weird movie, but a pretty darn good one. I recommend it.
What about that snowman out there? I got an idea. Here, take this gun.
But you told me not to play with guns. Not since the last time. It's not like I'm gonna shoot myself. Oh my God! I'm scared, man.
Cool pair, man. Okay, let's do this. There's only one thing left to do. Bite down! Bite down! Bite down!
Damn, dude.
I know, huh?
More as hell.
I'm the Kaiju Master. This is Protomit. This has been Kaiju Review. Signing off. Peace.